1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to the AI Cafe Conversations. I'm Sahar Andrade, and this is where neuroscience of pressure meets the future of leadership. I am your neuro leadership coach. Before we start, one thing I say every week and mean every week. Everything I share comes from my experience and my opinion as a coach. It's not a diagnosis and it's not a fact about you. You decide what fits. Here is where we begin today. A senior people executive sat in a leadership roundtable this year and said 7 words out loud that all leaders, or most leaders, are thinking and not saying. I am overwhelmed with AI information. I am overwhelmed with AI information. Most leaders that I meet think about it, but they don't articulate it that way. So he did not say, I am underinformed or overwhelmed. This is a leader with access to more data, more tools, and more expert opinion that any leader in history has ever had before. And the result is not clarity. The result is fog. Sit with how strange that is. For most of the history leadership, the problem was too little. Not enough data, not enough time with the expert, not enough visibility into what was really going on. Leaders were trained to go find more. That instant built careers. And now, for the first time, that same instant is the thing making the call harder. Most leaders hear that and reach for the wrong fix. They think, I must be missing something. So let me read one more report. Let me try one more tool. Let me get one more opinion. So they add. And the fog gets thicker, not thinner. And here is the refrain for today. This is not an information problem. It's a judgment load problem. More input is not the cure. Past a certain point, more input is the accelerant. So today, 3 things. Why more information makes the call harder, not easier. What that costs a leader in a quarter, in a team, and at midnight, and where steadiness comes back before the next tab is even open. Let's go. So the crisis. Picture a normal Tuesday of a senior leader in 2026. A new AI model drops, a vendor emails a demo. 2 people on the team forward articles that say the thing you did last quarter is already outdated. The board asks, in passing, what is your AI strategy? And your inbox has 4 newsletters, each promising the 5 tools you cannot afford to ignore. Sound familiar? None of that is a crisis on its own. Together, arriving faster than anyone can sort them, they are. And the volume in 2026 is not slowing down. There is a new model or a new capability almost every week. There is a tool for every task, and 3 more launch while you're at this sentence. Your team forwards you the ones that are excited about. Your board forwards the one they read about in the news. And underneath all of it is a quiet expectation that a good leader should already have a point of view. So you are carrying the sorting and the expectation at the same time, and both of them keep growing. Whiplash. I call that AI whiplash. And there is a layer under the volume that makes it heavier. It's identity. Leaders are supposed to be the ones with the answer. That is the job. So when the fog rolls in, most leaders do not say it out loud. Do not say, I am overwhelmed. They say it to themselves as is like, I am behind. Or worst, as maybe I am not sharp enough for this moment. And that private verdict does something cruel. It sets them back for more information to prove to themselves that they are still on top of it. The overload feeds the self-doubt, and the self-doubt feeds the overload. 2 loops spinning each other faster. And here is what actually happens, taught plainly about leaders in general. The part of the brain that weighs options and makes a considered call is the prefrontal cortex, PFC. And the PFC has a hard limit. It can hold and compare only a small number of things at one time. That limit is called working memory. And it's small, not small for you, small for everyone. And it's one of the most consistent findings in cognitive science. It's like if you had a laptop or a tablet with a memory of 126K, but you're trying to stuff it with more than 200K of memory, it's not going to retain and it's going to malfunction. That's the same exact principle. So let me make that concrete. Think of the PFC like a small table, not a warehouse. You can lay a few things on that table and compare them side by side. That is where a real decision happens, when you can see the options next to each other and actually weigh or compare them to each other. Now imagine someone keeps handing you more things and more things to put on the table. And first you make room. Then the table is full. And every new thing that lands knocks something off the edge. You are not comparing anymore. You're catching. And you cannot make a considered call while you are catching. Information overload turns weighing into catching. This is the whole mechanism, and it explains almost everything that follows. So when input arrives faster than it can be sorted, the call does not get sharper. It gets slower and shakier. The leader is not weighing 3 clean options. The leader is holding 30 half-open tabs, and every new one pushes an older one off the table. You know the feeling from the outside? Reading the same email 3 times and still not deciding. Opening a document, opening a second, opening a fifth, and closing all 5. Standing in front of a whiteboard with more data than you have ever had and less certainty than you have ever felt. Sitting in a meeting where you had every number you asked for and still could not make the call. That is not a character trait. That is what happens when input outruns the capacity to sort it. And the cruelest part is that all of this looks like diligence. Reading everything looks responsible. Gathering more opinions looks careful. Nobody gets criticized in a review for doing more homework. So the behavior that is quietly stalling the decision is the same behavior the room quietly praises. That is why leaders almost never catch it in themselves. It does not feel like avoidance. It feels like being thorough. It wears the costume of the exact virtue that built their career. And do not expect experience to save you here. It won't. This is the part that surprises the most senior leaders. Experience helps when the problem is that you do not know enough. It does very little when the problem is that too much is arriving at once. A 30-year veteran and a brand new director have the same size table. The veteran has better instinct about what to put on it, but if the room keeps piling things on faster than either can sort, they both end up catching and not choosing. So let me give you a picture, and everything I describe here is what was said and done, not a claim about anyone's experience. I worked with a leader last quarter who was running a division through an AI rollout. Smart, experienced, the kind of person a board trusts without a second thought. She told me she had started waking at 5 to get ahead of the AI news before her team came online. By 9, she had read 40 things. By 10, she opened a document to make one decision, a vendor call that had been waiting for 2 weeks. She told me she stared at it, opened 3 more tabs to check something, and closed the document without deciding. Again, in our call, she said the same sentence to me twice. There is too much, and I still do not feel ready. And here is the part that matters. Nobody around her would have guessed. On the outside, she looked completely on top of it. This is not a fringe experience. Look at the data. An Ernst Young study from February 2026 found that 52% of companies had department-level AI running with no formal oversight. And 78% of leaders said adoption was outpacing their ability to manage the risk. Read those numbers together. More than half the building is using tools nobody is governing, and nearly 8 in 10 leaders already know the pace has passed them. That is the crisis in one line. The tools moved faster than the judgment that is supposed to steer them. By afternoon, many leaders call this, guess what? Decision fatigue. The small calls that were easy at 9 feel heavy by 4. The pattern is real. Decision quality drift across a long run of choices. What matters today is not the label. It's that the leader keeps trying to fix a sorting problem by adding more to sort. So what's the cost of that? Let's be specific about that, because a fog you cannot name is a fog you keep paying for. When a leader cannot sort the input, the decision goes one of two ways, and both are expensive. The first way is freeze. Here is what freeze looks like from the outside. The decision moves to next week's agenda, then the week after, then the week after. Everyone is polite about it. Nobody says the word stuck. And the cost is already running. While a pricing call sat open for 3 weeks, a competitor moved. While an AI vendor sat in limbo, 2 teams quietly started using tools nobody approved, shadow AI, because they needed to get their work done and could not wait for the call. The delay did not pause the cost. It moved it somewhere. You could not see it yet. The second way is flood. A leader who cannot stand the discomfort of holding it all open starts closing everything at once. Yes to the pilot, yes to the tool, yes to the dashboard the vendor demoed on Tuesday. It feels productive. Look how much I decided today. But 3 months later, there are 9 half-built AI experiments, none of them finished, and no one can say which one is actually working. Saying yes to everything is not a decision. It's the absence of one. Dressed as a momentum, it's 30 open tabs wearing a suit. Now watch what this does to the people around the leader, because this one compounds. The team is not blind. They can see when the person at the top is drowning. So they start protecting them. They stop bringing the messy, unfinished, hard decisions, the ones that actually need judgment, because they can see there is no room on the table. They bring the easy ones instead. They handle the hard ones quietly, and they let them drift. And here is the trap. The leader feels a little relief because the hard calls stopped landing on the desk. But the hard calls did not go away. They just stopped being visible. A leader who cannot sort loses sight of the very decisions that most needed them. That is the moment you lose the only early warning system you had. And then there is the part almost no leader says out loud. It's 11 at night, the laptop is closed, and the sorting does not stop. You can't even decide if you want to drink water or juice. You're lying there running the same open loops. The vendor call, the reorganization, the thing you said in the meeting, and none of them will close. You're exhausted and wide awake at the same time. That is not a discipline problem. It's what happens after a mind spent all day catching things off a full table and never got the signal that the sorting has finished. It's hard to power down from a job that does not feel done. There is one more cost, and it's the quietest and the most expensive. Over time, a leader who keeps failing to close decisions starts to distrust the instrument that makes them. They begin to doubt their own judgment. And a leader who no longer trusts their own read reaches for even more input to compensate. More data, more consensus, more cover, which loads the table further, which makes the next call even harder. The very thing that made them a leader, the ability to look at a hard decision and call it, starts to feel unreliable. Not because it broke, because it never got a clear table to work on. Here is the misread underneath all of it. Leaders believe the problem is that they do not have enough information yet. So the fix, they think, is more. One more scan, one more expert, one more tool that promises to make sense of the other tools. And every single one of the additions make the exact problem worse. This is not an information problem, it's a load problem. And the cure is never going to be more load. So what actually works? What's the solution? It's not a productivity hack, it's a change in order. Steadiness comes before strategy. Steady before strategy. It's not a slogan, it's a sequence. A leader who is grounded first can use the full PFC, the part that weighs and compares. A leader who opens the next tab while still in the fog is asking the fog to make the decision, and it will. And the order matters more than it sounds, because if you try to shrink the problem while you are still in the fog picks the question for you. It hands you the loudest worry, not the real one. So step one is not thinking step at all. Step one is getting steady. So a better question is even available to you. What does getting steady actually take? Less than you think. A few slow breaths where the exhale is little longer than the inhale. Feet on the floor. One beat where you stop taking in and let the table clear. You're not meditating for an hour. You're not giving the part of you that decides enough room to lay two things down and look at them. That is the whole move, and it's free. And you might say, oh, there is no way. That sounds so simple, so stupid even. But this is as simple as it gets. Then, and only then, comes the second step. When the input is coming is faster than you can sort it, the answer is not a bigger scan. It's a smaller frame. Before you look at one more thing, you name the one question this decision actually turns on. Not the 10 questions around it, the one it turns on. Take a real and constant one. You are deciding whether the green light, an AI vendor. The fog version has you comparing 11 tools across 40 features while 3 stakeholders forward you more. The grounded version asks one question first. One question. What is the single job I need this to do that we cannot do today? Again, one question. What is the single job I need this to do and what that we cannot do today? Answer that, and 40 features collapse into 3 that matter. You did not get more information. You shrank the frame so your judgment could fit around it. Let me give you a second one, because this is where it gets practical. Say your team hands you an AI-generated recommendation. A model looked at the data and says, cut this, invest there. The overloaded move is to try to check everything the model considered, which is impossible. So you either rubber stamp it out of exhaustion or you freeze because you cannot verify it at all. The grounded move, again, is one question. What would have to be true for this to be a good call? And can I check that one thing? Maybe it's a single assumption. Maybe it's one number. You're not auditing the machine. You are finding the one hinge the decision swings on and checking them. The machine gives you the option. You still decide. And now you decide from a smaller, clearer frame. And notice, this is exactly where the leaders who are winning with AI are different. A Deloitte study 2026 found that 60% of executives use AI in their decision, but only 5% say they manage it well. Look at that gap, 60 to 5. The gap is not tools. Everyone has the tools. The gap is the state the leader is in when they reach for them. Grounded leaders use the same AI and get a decision that is right. Overloaded leaders use the same AI and gets more tap. Here is a rule of thumb you can use tomorrow. Ask, what is the smallest amount of information that would let me make this call responsibly? Then stop gathering when you hit it. Not when you have everything, when you have enough. Most decisions do not need all 40 features or all 40 reports. They need the 3 things the call actually turns on. The discipline is not in gathering more, it's deciding in advance what enough looks like and then honoring it when you get there instead of reaching for one more tab out of habit. One more thing. Because when you decide matters as much as how, if you know the small calls drift heavier as the day goes on, stop making your biggest AI decisions at 4 in the afternoon at the bottom of a full table. Put the decisions that need real judgment where the table is clearest, which for most leaders is earlier, before the day has piled 40 things on it. You're not just managing information, you are protecting the conditions your judgment needs to work. Put those together and watch a single decision looks like on the other side. Before 40 tabs, 3 stakeholder forwarding you more, a call you have already moved twice, and a knot in your chest. After, 2 slow breaths, 1 question written at the top of the page, 3 things that actually matter, and a decision you can say out loud by the end of the hour. Same leader, same tools. The same flood of AI arriving all day long. The only thing that changed is the order you did it in. Steady, then small, then decide. That is not a personality you're born with or without. It's a sequence you can run today and on your very next hard call, and you can keep doing it till it becomes a habit. So now I can hear the objection because I hear it in every room. You might be thinking, I do not have time to slow down. The tools are moving faster than I am. If I stop to get steady, that is exactly how I fall behind. Here is the thing. You're confusing 2 different speeds, the speed of input and the speed of judgment. They are not the same speed, and one does not fix the other. Here is the thing. The information can arrive at any speed it wants. The ability to weigh is capped by how much your prefrontal cortex can hold and compare at once. And that cap does not move because the word sped up. So when you add more input past that line to try to keep up, you do not speed the decision. You stall it. You have felt this. The busiest, most informed hour of your week is usually the one where you decided the least. And there is a second version of this objection. Some of you are thinking, this is just prioritization. I already do that. Here is the difference. Prioritization is choosing which of the 30 tabs to open first. What I'm describing happens before that. It's deciding you are not going to open 30 at all. It's capping the input to fit the table on purpose, instead of trying to expand the table that does not expand. Prioritizing a flood is still drowning, just in a tidier order. Getting steady is not the slow option. It's the only fast one that owns. 10 seconds to ground and shrink the frame is not time lost. It's the thing that lets the next decision actually close. Instead of joining the pile, you resort at midnight. Slowing down for a breath is how the fast leaders stay fast. So here is what I want to do with this. Tomorrow morning, Thursday, August 27th, at 11 a.m. Pacific, I'm running the next live session of the Pressure Room. It's free. I'm not selling anything. I'm not marketing anything. I just choose to do this because with what I do every day, I see leaders need a safe space to talk. It's 45 minutes, and it's the room where we work on exactly this. How a leader stays grounded and makes the call when everything is arriving faster than judgment can form. This episode drops the day before on purpose. This is the last call. Register for the Pressure Room at saharandrade.com/pressure-room. I'm going to have the link here also. Come tomorrow. Bring the one decision that has been sitting open in your desk all week. The one you keep resorting and never closing. We will work on it together. Thank you for listening, and thank you for the work you're doing to lead differently. Leadership does not fail. Nervous system do. Steady before strategy. Before I leave, as I always say, show me some love. Subscribe, like, comment, rate our podcast. Thank you for your support and making us one of the top 2% global podcasts worldwide. I appreciate your support. Till we meet again on Friday on the short podcast, the Forbes like article. Peace out.
1